October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and a domestic violence agency in Santa Clara County wants to make sure victims can get the help that they need. Joining me now is Esther Peralez-Dieckmann. She's the Executive Director of Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence. Esther, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
First off, can you share with us what your main mission is at Next Door Solutions?
We have a mission here at Next Door Solutions to end domestic violence in the moment and for all time. In the moment means when violence is happening or violence has happened, helping survivors and their families know that there are alternatives, there are ways to get to safety, and to really address what's happening in their lives. And we want to also make sure that we provide enough support and prevention activities to help young people who may be at risk for being in an abusive relationship. And so that I think if we cover both ends, helping people who are in violence now, and then trying to prevent the violence, I think we're going to go a long way at lowering the rates of domestic violence in this country. And when we say for all time, that means we're here for as long as people need us. They may come in today, they may get what they need, and maybe we don't see them for a little period of time, and maybe they want to come back 6 months to a year. We're here for as long as people need us.
Esther, you just talked about the rates of domestic violence. I was just looking it up, and the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence reports a woman is assaulted or beaten in the U.S. about every 9 seconds. Those numbers are extremely high if you think about how many people that includes. And we know that domestic violence has increased over the last year because of the pandemic. Can you go more in depth about that?
I think what we are seeing during the pandemic is that people were sheltering in place in not only California, but across the country. And what that was causing was people to have to shelter in place, sometimes with the person who was abusing them. So before the pandemic, people were able to call, maybe after their husband left for work or their partner left for work, and they could try to get help and support during the day. That became much harder for survivors. We were hearing people say, I'm here with my partner. He monitors my activities, who I'm on the phone with, so it's really hard for me to call you. It's not safe for me to call you. So we had to resort to other ways, using text, using emails, and other forms of communication. So I think we did see violence increase. The other thing is in a family where there's already an unhealthy dynamic, when stress hits, the abusive, violent behavior can increase. And that's exactly what we saw. As the economic pressures, as the stress of having kids at home and having to do school in the house were sort of mounting, we saw abuse and violence increasing. And so it was a very difficult time. But as we're sort of coming out of that period of time and the shelter-in-place orders are lifting, people are starting to come out, starting to ask for more help. And we've seen that they've been suffering. They have been experiencing a lot of abuse and violence, even though they weren't able to talk about it or report it. And so I think it's very important now for people to know there is help. There is help 24 hours a day if they need it. And there is no cost for the services we provide. Even if you're not real sure about what is the help that you're looking for, you can call us and we can talk through what are the different options for you.
What can victims of domestic violence do to access that help?
In whatever county you're in the Bay Area, there's usually a domestic violence agency. For Next Door Solutions, we have a 24-hour crisis line that is available in multiple languages, which is 408-279-2962. You can literally call that number 24 hours a day and ask for the help that you need. That's our crisis line, or you can call any of the domestic violence agencies in the Bay Area in your community and ask for help during the day. Even if you don't know exactly what is the help that you need, an agency will help you walk through what are the different options. They'll help you assess safety. Legal services are part of what we do. So if you need a restraining order, or maybe you're dealing with child custody issues, or even you're caught up in the child welfare system, those are things that we have expertise on. We can help you navigate those.
What can society do, or if you're a friend, a neighbor, and you notice something might be up, what is a way that someone can reach out to provide help to someone that they think might need it?
I think that's a really, really good observation. And, part of what we tell people is to be there, to be supportive. A lot of times when you're living with domestic violence, there's a lot of shame involved in that. Your family may not know the extent to which you're involved or being victimized. So if you discover somebody or someone in your family is in an abusive situation, saying, I care what happens to you, I know there's something going on, and I want to help. And then knowing where to refer people. domestic violence can be a very complex issue. So domestic violence agencies are available in any community across the US. They just need to connect. So the big thing is support people. It's important to believe the survivor when they tell you their story, when they're ready to speak about their experience. It's very important for us to say, I believe you, I support you, I want to help. Here's some resources for you. So if you don't know where those resources are in your community, get familiar with those and help people connect.
All right, Esther, you've been serving your community. Next Door Solutions has been serving the community for about 50 years now, and the anniversary gala is coming up on October 16th. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, in 1971, we were established here in San Jose, California by a woman named B. Robinson Mendez, who herself was a survivor. This was before we had VAWA, before we had all the laws, even the terms to describe domestic violence. She looked around and realized there are other women experiencing what I'm experiencing, and I want to help them. So she set up the first hotline and the first shelter in a garage. So very Silicon Valley story where the whole grand idea began in a garage. She didn't realize it, but at the time it would become the second domestic violence agency in California and the first shelter in the nation to offer bilingual services. So 50 years later, we have helped move people, literally thousands of people, from violence and abuse into safety, stability, and ultimately a path to self-sufficiency. So what's important about the work we do in the domestic violence field is we help people escape the violence and abuse and look at the different options for their lives so they can move forward, make choices about where they see their future. And what we find is when survivors have the support and resources to move forward in life, they do that and they contribute back to the community in very magnificent ways. We have a survivor group, El Comité de Mujeres Fuertes. These are women who survived domestic violence and are now out in the community educating and helping others understand you may be a victim of violence and there is help and we're here to support you.
How can members of the community also get involved? Are there volunteer opportunities, anything like that?
Absolutely. No matter what is the degree you want to get involved. Maybe you just want to make a small financial contribution. Maybe you want to get involved and do some volunteering. You can reach our website, nextdoorsolutions.org, and get all of that information. We have opportunities if you like making presentations, and you can help us spread the message about the issue of domestic violence and helping people connect with services. We're happy to support that. We'd love to have more help with that. You can visit our website, nextdoorsolutions.org, and get connected.
And Esther, last thing, what is your message to someone who wants to get help but isn't sure how to take that first step for it?
The first step is actually finding someone who will support you, someone that you trust. If you don't have that person, you can call our crisis line 24 hours a day, and the person answering the phone will support you. They will help you connect with people who are here to work with you. You're not going to be asked to do something you're not ready to do. And we are very flexible. Different families have different needs. So you are the best determinant of what happens in your life. We want to support you. We want to work with you. Take that first step as you're comfortable doing that. And you will see that there's lots of options and ways that you can get help and support. And as you get more comfortable, those options start opening up. So take the first step and call us.
All right, Esther, thank you so much for your time and the impact you have on this Bay Area community with Next Door Solutions.
Thank you so much for having us today.